Damn, Feigh magic dust gets everywhere. Welcome back to a slight change of pace today, as instead of looking at different subclasses, we're going to be creating a new race and a new Bard subclass. I'll say this right off the bat, this content was inspired by a particular D&D YouTuber. See if you can guess which one. So, in this video we're going to be looking at the new race for 5e, the Feigh Claimed, and the new Bard subclass, the Feigh Focail. The Feigh Claimed are the answer to the question, what happens to the people that are captured by the Feigh or lost in the Feywild, but eventually make it back to the material plane? Whether it is by being enticed by a manipulative Feigh lord, or captured by a deceptive enchantment, the Feigh Claimed can prove they have some mettle to hold their own. But against the raw force of the Feywilds, it just isn't enough. That's where a Feigh benefactor comes to their aid. They gain a new toy, and in exchange repair and remake the Feigh Claimed to allow them to survive the Feigh realm. Such alterations usually leave them visually striking, though their appearance is emotionally influenced by design. Given enough time, the Feigh benefactor might become bored with the Feigh Claimed, or desire to see them cause chaos elsewhere for their entertainment. And as such the Feigh Claimed escapes or is released back to the material plane. But that is all fun backstory stuff for you to create. As for their appearance, you can go as wild with the designs as you like. The Feigh benefactor made plenty of changes, so whatever race or species you entered the Feigh realm as no longer applies. Instead, you gain fancy new Feigh Claimed stats and features. As you can imagine, the Feigh Claimed is no longer humanoid. After all those alterations, their type is now Feigh. It is extremely difficult to know the age of one due to, Feigh time magic stuff. The exposure to the beauty, but more so the horrors of the Feigh, grant the Feigh Claimed the Feigh Influence feature, which is a special resistance against being charmed or frightened. As long as the source is not a Feigh, they have advantage. But recalling what they saw in the Feigh plane, the Feigh Claimed has disadvantage when the effect comes from a Feigh. The curious features also carry over to the next one, Mystic Steps, as living in the Feywilds allow a Feigh Claimed to be less bothered by magical difficult terrain, as that is all they move through for who knows how many years. Unfortunately, they can now be easily hindered by standard homegrown material plane difficult terrain. It's almost alien to the Feigh Claimed now. Good old dark vision is something the Feigh Claimed get, but the unusual aspect is that the dark vision sees in shades of purples and blues. A bit trippy. And to cap off the Feigh Claimed features is the Feywild Touch feature, letting them cast the Mind Sliver cantrip, as well as Tasha's hideous laughter and alter self, as the madness of the Feigh seeps into the Feigh Claimed spells, maybe into their very existence. But that is the Feigh Claimed race. What do you think? Hold the comments until the end, as there is more to come, though I think the Feigh Claimed is a decent attempt at creating a creature that was remade to survive and lived in a warped version of the material plane. They would probably make for a bizarre encounter for opposing spellcasters, when the Feigh Claimed wanders through the patch of Sleetstorm unbothered, ignoring the raging demon nearby, but cower before a tiny fairy after tripping on some tree roots. Though now we continue onwards to the Bard subclass, the College of Feigh Focail, if I'm pronouncing that right. Focail is actually an Irish word meaning words, so it is the College of Feigh Words. I like a play on words, but enough of that. The story behind the College of Feigh Focail is that you have somehow been invited into this Feigh College based on your bardic abilities, though soon find the Feigh harder to impress than the townsfolk or local barons and ladies. A powerful Feigh entity steps in to oversee your education and progress, often for their own entertainment. Once you reach level 3, you gain access to the Feigh Manipulation feature. Sometimes a boon, sometimes a bane, but always mixing up your playstyle for the day, as the Feigh being that aided in your study exerts some influence over your form each long rest. Sometimes your charisma skill checks are improved, but at the cost of your spell DC. And you could suddenly become more hardy for physical confrontations, but the changes takes its toll, or even become a spider-like being skittering across walls and ceilings. Each new day is a new opportunity, or just more chaos. Another third level feature is Sticks and Stones, which simply allows you to cast Vicious Mockery with your charisma modifier added to the damage. These bards get a lot of fun stuff. The last third level feature is the Penny for Your Thoughts feature, a fun little mechanic that will cause a little chaos at the table where, as a reaction, you can claim the recognition of an important memory or item from someone. granting you an additional bardic inspiration and causing the victim to be unable to recall details about the subject you claimed. Until the next long rest, that is. You are limited on how many extra bardic inspirations you can have, so don't go round pressing people for secrets. It is meant to be a different method of gaining bardic inspiration, so you're not always limited by your charisma score. Onwards and upwards to 2 6th level features. The first one will give away who inspired all of this, I think. The feature, That's Why I Always Carry. You can use an action to try and summon a useful item. However, what your Feigh companion deems useful might be quite different to you, as they influence your attempt. The item only lasts for an hour, but at later level allows you a better chance of summoning what you want. Unless your DM decides otherwise, there is a limited list, but all of the results will make for some interesting scenarios. Of course, you always carry a sword, or a shield, or maybe a juvenile mimic that looks like a mug and gets angry if it stays empty too long. How about some performance clothes that try to dress themselves on someone when they're summoned? Or 100 d20s rolling around the room. The perfect choice to add a little madness to the moment. I'm not sure about you, but I'm sure I heard a lit fuse hissing nearby. The other 6th level feature is Feigh Fancy, and in short, your Feigh friend is getting bored of your long conversations and thinks it needs some more excitement. So now, whenever you make a charisma check in conversation, there is a chance your conversation partner will become enamored with you, regarding you as their true love. However, this isn't an easy way to get into the lair of the big bad. Those affected are still the same as before, but now you are their true love. A town guard might insist on following you to keep you safe. A dragon might make you part of its horde. A cultist might start preparations to make you a joint sacrifice with them to their evil deity so you're together forever. The results can be entertaining, but also scary. Be careful with your words. The last feature for the Feigh Focail Bard is the level 14 feature, Words of Power, letting you utilise the Feigh power of words to a lesser degree. This does need some prior agreements with the DM, but it allows you to expend a bardic inspiration and utter a single word to describe a target, bestowing different effects on the target. Though bear in mind, using the same word on a creature as on an item might have different effects. Using the word healthy on an ally might heal them, but on an item could make it look in better condition. The word reinforced on armor could boost the armor class for a round of combat, though on a creature make them harder to knock prone. Or even the word childish on an enemy creature might reduce their attack rolls, though on an item make it look similar to a toy. The variety is crazy and effects numerous, though again it is something to agree upon with the DM. Just don't go pulling out bizarrely long words in the middle of combat, like this word. I'm not going to pronounce it. Just know that it means something is worthless or unimportant. If the DM agrees to you using it, maybe it gives the creature disadvantage on attack rolls, reduced damage from weapons, or makes someone sad. Maybe the DM decides that the longer and more complex the word, the more powerful the effect, so long as you pronounce it correctly. Which brings us to the end of the subclass. The College of the Feigh Focail was really fun to design and come up with ideas for. I can't deny that it is more roleplay focused, as it is meant to create some fun moments for the party, both ridiculous and panic inducing. And while I have provided the race and subclass free to use in the link below, remember that this is homebrew. Discuss the content with your players and DM to find a middle ground that is fun for everyone. If you want to let the DM create a secret list for the That's Why I Always Carry feature, so you are always surprised, great! Very brave of you, but great. And so, as I wrap up this video, I am curious. Did you figure out which YouTuber was the inspiration for this race and subclass? What kind of backstory would you create for your Feigh claimed? Or were they lured into the College of Feigh Focail? And what do you think would be a fun item to try and summon? I hope you enjoy these. Have fun and stay mischievous.